it feels really harsh to be putting this on Poch. If anything, the reason we're there is because Poch got good performances out of the team to get to the final, and then his players let him down.
Hello and welcome back to Just Another Football Podcast. A glorious episode for one of us, and a really miserable one for two others. Fergal and George at the same time after the Carabao Cup final. How are we, gentlemen? I see George is dressed up for the occasion and Fergal's wearing a stash. So, you're looking great, lads. But I hope that
I'll take it off after I put it on, especially for the
fantastic.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. And George's gonna just change to pajamas.
Yeah.
George has a tax as well. Let's not ignore George.
You didn't even need to raise that.
It does suit you. That look does suit you.
I don't know if that's a compliment, to be fair. That's probably not it, yeah.
No, I do mean it. It doesn't suit, because your hair is quite big.
Yeah.
With the shape of your face being quite round, I think this stash suits you. Controversially, I know.
There you go.
All right, let's move on. Let's save George's blushes here and move on.
Yeah, let's move on.
I don't know if they can be saved, but
well, you're a Chelsea fan, of course, George. So we're going to talk about as it turned out, a bit of an embarrassing game for Chelsea. Narratively, I don't know if that's a word, but the way it kind of transpired, it was so good. It's so good, but I'm sure you didn't see it that way. So narrative is important here. The first thing I want to ask you guys is that Chelsea got to a final. If they'd won, I'm sure the narrative would have been about, it might not be a perfect way, but at least we got something. On the other hand, Chelsea lost to an extremely inexperienced Liverpool team.
Yeah.
What do you feel like is the narrative after the game is done and Chelsea came away empty-handed to a bunch of under-12s? Is it that embarrassing, though?
I don't think you emphasized the positivity that would have came from winning this from a Chelsea perspective. Just the fact that we would have scraped by winning the game, which I don't think is. I think both teams, if Liverpool end up winning it, and you can say that's fair, but I watched the chances again today. I still think Chelsea had far better chances, more point blank in the middle of the goal chances, whereas Liverpool's, I watched the back and they're all kind of tighter angles, but still good chances. But if Chelsea had a won, it gets Poch a title in England. It gets it's the start of the new generation. You have the old cliche of Mourinho used to love winning the League Cup. It was the first one to win, and then it set you up. It set the winning mentality. All these cliches, and maybe some of them are true, start to be said, and then on the other hand, from a Liverpool's perspective, the question marks would have arose from, well, maybe their squad isn't as deep and they've got a lot of injuries now, and can they still do it? And all it comes down to is a matter of inches between Cole Palmer shot, really. If that goes in, it could have been a very different game. And there's other chances in there as well. But what Chelsea Twitter seems to be saying is that, and this is I follow quite a wide range on the spectrum of supporting of Poch. I follow Roy Jennings, but then I follow the guy Seb. I don't know if you follow him, George. He's quite good. He's a French football coach that supports Chelsea. And then the American guy Alex Goldberg.
Oh yeah, I know.
He's quite measured. He's quite reasonable. But he's come out and was like, "That's it." He's come out with the Roy Jennings line, bottle job.
Billion Pound Bottlejobs of Gary Neville.
Yeah.
Trademark.
And he came out and was like, "Oh, that's it for Pochettino. He's too Spursy. But it was and it's maybe the loser thing to say, but it feels really harsh to be putting this on Poch. If anything, the reason we're there is because Poch got good performances out of the team to get to this point and to get to the final, and then his players let him down. The players that have been playing well, like Conor Gallagher, the last chance the chance where he had 1-on-1 with Kelleher, he should have took it on his left. His left is good enough to get that shot away, and yet in that moment he clearly didn't have the confidence and thought, I have to get this on my right foot, and the chance was gone. So it came down to really fine margins, and now Pochettino is just classed as this loser.
Okay, so
and he's not the man, and apparently De Zerbi is the answer, even though Brighton are on a very mediocre run. And it feels, but the same Chelsea fans will say this team is terrible. The recruitment's been terrible, and we're getting back. And we say this with every other manager that we've had for the past little while. And then we'll sack this manager, and then we'll get somebody else, and it'll be the exact same situation, maybe with a couple more players added, and with an academy, and with Conor Gallagher sold to a top team, and we'll be looking at going, geez, we should have kept him. He was quite good, wasn't he?
When he gets sold to Tottenham for 40 million.
Yeah, or like I could see him at Liverpool even. Like, it's So yeah, we're sort of going round and round in circles. At the end of the day, we don't have the players, and it showed. Like if you had to put in any one of our world class forwards that we've had from the past 10 years, if we had one Drogba, one Hazard, they would have made the difference. Even if you look at Liverpool, we had Jota in our team. Or not even that. I'm probably setting the bar too high. If we had like Remy on Sunday, just a solid finisher, we probably would have. We probably would have won. Or and that's how far down Chelsea have sadly fallen. And there's just a lot of potential in the squad, but there's no leaders. There's no they haven't found that X factor of winning yet. And Liverpool have this, and they've got young players coming through, but then they have the structure of the winners that have been there and done it. And who stepped up for Liverpool? It was Van Dijk. But they've all the young players that played very well are being supported and mentored and have that leadership of Klopp and Van Dijk and all the other guys that have been there and done it, and that's what got them over the line, and that's what didn't happen with Chelsea.
Okay, so a lot to unpack here. So
my monologue over.
Monologue over. Opening monologue done. Now, you are not putting blame on Pochettino.
No.
You're putting the blame on
not
recruitment.
All the blame. I do have one thing to say, which I think we're going to talk about.
We're going to get to the story of the game and how it unfolded and everything. Which I know what you're going to say, and I think I'll agree with you. Stay tuned, listener. Or, of course, YouTube viewer. Like and subscribe and rate and everything. You think the recruitment is largely to blame, right?
I would say 90%.
Cool. Yeah. The level of players, they're not ready to take on such challenges.
Yeah.
And there's no leaders. Okay. So these are the kind of the 4 sub points made there. George, would you agree or disagree on those 4 fronts? Pochettino, players, recruitment, and leaders.
I think largely, I don't think if you swap another manager with this team, would we get any results? I don't think so. I think it's proven past 4 managers, Tuchel, Potter, Lampard, Poch. It's not. It's not. Something's wrong there, and it's not the manager. So, yeah, I think you can probably say Poch isn't largely to blame. Well, on narrative, I think as a wider point, the way that we lost the game, I think, is more important than that we lost. I.e.,
very interesting.
Going into the game, everyone I spoke to, certainly my friendship group, I think everyone online expected Liverpool to win. Yes, there was a few injuries. Even despite that, I think Liverpool, top of the league, good form, they're expected to win that game. Chelsea, to be honest, I don't think we actually got much for luck in. However, the way that we played and the chances that we got lended it to lead into obviously £1 billion bottle job versus kids of Liverpool, which I actually think is a wrong narrative. I think it's completely false, to be honest. The majority of the kids
isn't, is it?
It is, because the majority of the kids that came on in extra time. Yes, that's the important factor, that they went on and won, but the goal was scored by Van Dijk. Your starting 11 was of a higher age on average than ours by, I think, like 2 years. And then on top of that, starting 11 for starting 11, there was the same number of academy projects. Maybe Liverpool had one more because of Kelleher. And in terms of on the field money, it was about £100 million different. Now, obviously, the bench, I get that. There are more options for Chelsea. But you look at the options, and this is what my point is. It goes back to recruitment. Yes, you've got £100 million in Mudryk that technically goes into this £1 billion bottle job. But he is not an £88 million player. He's not a £40 million player. So yes, the money has been spent there and it's wrong, and we can go into all of those factors. However, the recruitment is so fundamentally flawed that we're paying £100 million for Enzo Fernandez, who had a good year and then a good World Cup. We're paying £88 million for Mudryk, who, let's be honest, is not proven in a top 6 league, not even a top 8 league.
Sorry, George. Currently 62 million is the amount we paid, pending that we win a lot of titles and he does very well, which looks very unlikely. He's currently a £60 million player.
£60 million. Well, apologies, but my point is, and then Nicholas Jackson, another £40 million player. You can throw in Caicedo, although obviously he was headhunted by Liverpool as well. But the point is,
thank God for that.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, on the ball, he's absolutely terrible. We can go into that. But the point is, we have fundamentally a just corrupt and broken hiring structure.
I think that's what Gary Neville was referring to, though. Like the £1 billion thing is the Chelsea Football Club, not the team that was on the pitch. Klopp's kids is referring to the fact that we had in the lineup that finished the game and won it, 2 players that would start. Like Luis Diaz and Virgil van Dijk, something like that. 3-4 players that would start, and then you had. What's Konate on?
Roberts.
Konate got taken off, right at the end.
Konate was taken off. So at the time...
Oh, at the end, sorry.
Yeah, I mean at the end of the game, when we won it. Okay. My point being that some of the guys on the pitch were, like, that was their 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th senior appearance.
But only 3 of them, really. Like, you're right back. Yes, he's a youngster, but he's had game time going into
You'd never heard of him in December.
Yeah, but
he played 5 games.
You're talking about, like, Colwill. Like, yeah, he's got a reputation because he's been out on loan, but he's still a young player, a really young player with a lot to prove. You know,
but like, he was an established.
Actually, George, I think we need to hold the L on this. Like,
no, I'm not saying we lost, but the narrative.
On the title, that I like, it's really annoying. The bottle job going into the game, maybe that's harsh, but I think that just the whole the club as a whole in the past year, I think bottle mightn't be the right adjective, but it's a long like catastrophe is
Catastrophe.
or
But
just
that's
like
the point. It's like a
yeah.
£1 billion catastrophe, but it's not a bottle job because.
But
I think it definitely is.
The structure of the club is sort of like it's just like
Yeah.
but bottled spending £1 billion is what the sort of idea behind that is.
Yeah.
You know what the problem is again?
And like every I would struggle you'd struggle to see another club spending £1 billion and getting it as wrong as much as Chelsea have.
Exactly.
And for that reason, we've kind of bottled spending that money.
And my problem is now, and I don't know how Chelsea fans like you guys would kind of evaluate this, but can the Chelsea project ever actually be success value for money wise? Because you spent an insane but every measure an insane amount of money. Even if you were guaranteed treble after treble, £1 billion in 3 transfer windows or whatever it was, is extraordinary in any world. So can it ever succeed? Really?
I think this is the bit. Sorry, go on, Fergal.
This is the bit I've said before. Like this is an investment hedge fund, Clear Lake Capital.
Yeah.
Well, like I was gonna say, like maybe they're smart with their money and maybe they have some plan. But then, as they've proven with the signs they've made, maybe they don't have a clue what they're doing with their money. Like the only thing I could see that would save them if the Premier League goes and does an over the top streaming service, and that then makes the Premier League a lot more money. That's the only thing that could increase the value of Chelsea. But it's turning into a really long term investment now for them to get money back, and they're still committed to making $1 billion or £1 billion stadium. They there's no option to with the stadium with Chelsea. There's no option to build it on a different site. Because the fans own the pitch, and Abramovich wanted to move it elsewhere and didn't or wasn't able to because of this. So they have to redevelop Stamford Bridge. They have to do it to what's been agreed by the local council or whatever like that, which make those sort of things make it more expensive. There is a pre-approved stadium plan that was done under Abramovich, and it was £1 billion. And as it's been talked about, I think Tifo have done videos on it. The cost of building stadiums has increased
dramatically.
So like God knows what the price of this is going to be. I don't know where they're going to get the return on investment.
No.
Something incredible is in terms of the marketing and the reach of the Premier League is going to have to, or the amount of an over-the-top streaming service is just going to have to bring in a hell of a lot of money. That's the only thing I could think that would.
That would have happened anyway, right? Whether you spent this £1 billion or not. And there are two things that you can defend this spending, and they're both poor defensive, but it's important to flag, I think. One of them is and I'm going to counter it, I'm going to prove it wrong, is the young players obviously investing in. Yes, it is 8 years, but all of the players that we've bought have probably got about 8 years, of top, up top of their game, where it's actually Chelsea level is a different story in them, and bar injuries or whatever it might be. So the spend, if you're looking at it in that perspective and you're like, okay, have we got an 11 that can do 8 years? Well, if you do have that, and therefore there's probably no need to spend as much in the future, and you have all of your capital up front, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because 1 billion spent in 1 year versus 1 billion spent over 10 years, and then you wait 10 years and you don't spend any more. It's the same amount of money. whether or not it's being invested straight away or over time.
That would be great if that was the case.
Players were, but I think the players are.
The problem is that we're now looking to bring in £130 million Osimhen, which I can't see happening. But we're looking to spot. In order for this team to be fixed, we probably need another 2 or 3 players at least, and then for a lot of the players to get their potential. For that to happen now, we have to sell our academy players because they're pure profit. So we're going to sell Conor Gallagher, who's the best midfielder for us. You could end up having to sell Colwell, potentially, which would be terrible. Trevor Chalobah is going to be sold this summer, I'd imagine. And, it's great that we've got Disasi and very comfortable with him as a defender. But because of that, Trevor Chalobah is going to go for pretty cheap. Whoever gets him is going to get a very capable centre-back for, I would imagine, 30 million or less. And he's going to be worth double that within 2 seasons, I'd imagine, whichever club he goes to. I think he's
United summer 2024.
Anyway. I think Leeds would be doing very well to get him. I think he's a better centre back than that. Like Bayern Munich, we're looking at him. So we've got all this stuff's going to happen. So we're going to have to get, in some aspects, we're going to have to get worse to get better, because we're going to have to sell again, which is a ridiculous position to be in if you thought you had. If you had the opportunity to spend £1 billion. And then so you've got that, and but then I just don't know where the quality's going to drop off, and then we're not going to be able to get Europe. And then the story came out midweek that we might not have even been able to afford Europe if we had won the League Cup. Because the financial fair play goes from, I can't remember the exact numbers, but let's say it's 100 million over 3 years. You can go over the budget in the Premier League. In UEFA, you can only spend was it 50 million over 2 years? It was something along those lines, but it was less money and less time to spend it over. And then on top of that, the amortization of the contracts is cut down to 5 years. Whereas it's whatever the value of the contract is. So it's a double, triple whammy. But we need the money from Europe to balance.
Just the attraction. So
you need the money for Europe, but you're not able to afford to get into Europe.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
Is it Pandora's box? No, Pandora.
Catch 22.
Catch 22.
There you go.
There's another name for it. It's an absolute mess that they've got themselves into, and it's nearly like we need to sell some players and get back to the drawing board again. Which I feel like I've just been a broken record on this podcast talking about Chelsea for 3 years.
I think this is the most important time to highlight it. That said, though, we are quite a long way into recording here.
Do you mind if I put one more narrative?
Okay,
we can maybe go back into the football on the back of it, which is the other defence of the Chelsea spending, which ties into the game, which we can go back into, is that Chelsea 3 years ago, or 2 years ago, whatever it might have been, in terms of their stage in their team and their club life cycle, compared to the clubs around them like Arsenal and Liverpool, maybe potentially not Arsenal to be fair, but Liverpool and Man City, we're in a completely different stage in our club's life cycle. We did not have, we'd won the Champions League, but let's be honest, it's not exactly a team that you would feel can kick on and win a lot. We'd had a rotation in managers. We hadn't got a style of play. We obviously went through the Abramovich.
United post Sir Alex, That's
what I was going to say. So we United play, and when you don't have that stability, which largely comes from a manager, and obviously is inflicted by Chelsea because we sack our managers too often. But if you don't have that stability with a manager and a style of play, for them to build a team and build it over 5 years, like Klopp has done, of course you're going to get turnover. Of course, you're going to get player turnover, you're going to get staff turnover, you're going to get recruitment decisions wrong because it's not going to match the style of play that a manager wants, or that just in favour of whatever kind of player you've got. And therefore, you're in this cycle of just spending and then selling for cheap and then spending because they don't actually match the new formation that the new manager wants. So it links back to why Poch isn't the problem. Even if he was, we absolutely just need some stability now. We just need a manager who has got potential, has been shown he can do it, but just give him some time, give him a philosophy.
And we've also seen like great moments with this team where you can see things coming together. Like Nicholas Jackson, I think like he's got a long way to go, but his progression as a player, I think he's gotten better and better. And I thought he'd done okay at the weekend. Again, like every other player for Chelsea,
extremely tight off cycle.
And it was a perfectly weighted ball he put across. I thought he could have been more aggressive with the Liverpool centre backs. At times, I thought he didn't go full pace, but he held his own against them, caused them problems. And so there's a player that he looked great in pre-season. Then at the start of the season, he looked a bit shaky, but he's progressed nicely. And who are we going to credit for that? There's other players like that have been like that for Chelsea. Pochettino has been maybe a bit slow to make changes, that like dropping Thiago Silva and stuff like that, which I think we're now benefiting from. But at the same time, I always have sympathy with him because he's looking at the team going, there's no leaders in this team.
Your captain
then on it
yesterday, or your captain on the final, Ben Chilwell. Sorry to move on, but time is running out. There's so much to kind of cover in this game that I'm really keen to get to. Ben Chilwell. I think a very poignant moment in the game that kind of describes the lack of leadership is two actually that involve Ben Chilwell. The one with Connor Bradley. It's been like widely talked about, and don't have to get into it again. But I found it like incredibly unnecessary to square up to someone 10 years younger than you in that way. But never mind.
It's a bit of gamesmanship. He's trying to get right out of a young player. I think that's what you do that in finals. It's not the first time a Chelsea player's done that, and it's also probably not the first time a Liverpool player would have done similar. So.
The second one is when he was getting substituted. He took quite a long time to find who to give the captain's armband to, and eventually gave it to, I think, Enzo Fernandez. That was a pretty funny moment for me, because it's like they don't even know the progression of captains. I think your club captain is Reece James. Obviously, hasn't been playing at all. Thiago Silva wears it sometimes, does he? And then it's
quite far
I think
down the list.
Is actually captain Thiago Silva, or Conor Gallagher captain Thiago Silva, something like that early in the season.
It's Reece James, Chilwell, Gallagher, and then I would assume Thiago Silva.
But
and then maybe Enzo.
Yeah, well, Enzo Fernandez took it, I think. But yeah, that was wild. But Fergal.
Colwell actually captained at one point as well.
Oh, okay. Colwell. Oh, wow. Okay, he's reached that.
I don't.
Yeah. Let's lighten up the mood for Fergal a bit here. I don't know if that will lighten George's mood in any way, but Caoimhín Kelleher.
Yeah.
Let's have a chat about Caoimhín Kelleher. 9 saves, 2.95 XG prevented, apparently.
Should have been man of the match. It's crazy in a game where both keepers saved. Chelsea's keeper didn't save it, but there's two XG for each team at least. Petrof's made some great saves, but
The
Kelleher
one from Harvey
definitely
Elliott
the
is
best.
so impressive.
Yeah, it's a great save.
Yeah. But yeah, Kelleher to save 2.33 XG after extra time and not get a man of the match is crazy.
Just
and
because Van Dijk scored.
It's the Van Dijk effect, and it's the Klopp legacy effect as well. It's like, the captain scores in the final, and it's Klopp's captain that he, one of the key signings. I get it, but Kelleher's man of the match, without a doubt, he was fantastic. The save for Palmer's one is incredible. Like,
that's an Alisson save. That's Alisson against Napoli in the group stage in 2018 when we were a kick away from going out of the group stage.
Yeah. And it's unbelievable that we have a goalkeeper better than him as well in Bazunu. We are stacked and
why that's so hard. Gavin Bazunu, of course, is the Just Another Football Podcast Dream Team goalkeeper. If you remember from 2 summers ago, the episode with James Arsaga, it's still up on the channel. You can still check it out.
Yeah,
it's a great episode.
Yeah. I honestly, Ali, going into the international break, Gavin Bazunu is still my number 1 goalkeeper.
Wow, are you sure?
Yeah, he's great. Kelleher needs to get regular game time, which he is doing at the moment due to Alisson's injury.
Yeah,
so
he's getting a month of it.
He might, in fairness, he probably deserves a start for Ireland to see how he goes. The last time he got a start, he didn't actually do that well. I think that's because he just needs a run of games, and he's had a run of games.
And if you remember as well, like the first game he played this season, I believe it was the 4-3 against Fulham. That was riddled with errors from Quivin Calher, and people are saying how dare we play him as a second choice goalkeeper, as if he's never won us a Carabao Cup final before, but whatever.
I do understand the skepticism of him. I.e., like you've got to. I think you've got to.
Just the name for a start, I'd imagine.
He's the perfect goalkeeper, but he is destined for a life on the bench, isn't he? Really, unless he leaves. So he's got to make a decision now. He's 25. He's quite.
He has to leave this summer. I've been saying it for the past 2 summers. He's been ready to go. I know Tottenham were considering bringing him in as their first choice, but
he's not.
He has to move on.
Not a first choice Premier League goalkeeper, in my opinion.
Of course he is.
I don't
what
think.
Are you on about?
I think you'd struggle. I think you'd struggle to find a single club other than Sheffield United.
It'd be lower team. It'd be lower. I think he could. I think he'd get
start
in
for Chelsea.
I think he's better. Well, if you think about if we think about the goalkeepers that could be coming up to the Premier League, I think he's better than Meslier.
No.
Yeah, he's so far better than Meslier. Even Leeds United.
He's on a par at the very minimum with Meslier.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
But that's what I mean. I do think he's better. And then the Leicester goalkeeper, I had to look him up.
Who is the Leicester goalkeeper?
It's a Danish fella, 22-year-old Danish fella.
Yeah. Can't remember his name. That's poor.
So, and I don't know who else is there. So, I think if you get promoted to the Premier League, I think you'd be doing worse than to sign him. And perhaps a team like Brighton could do with him.
Over Steele, I think that's one of the only.
I like Steele, but they seem to be wanting to get a young goalkeeper in, and the guy they brought in, I don't know if he's very young. I think if you're in the market for a goalkeeper, I think Kelleher should be top of a lot of teams in the bottom half.
Yeah,
I disagree.
Okay, let me put it that way. Forest,
you've got great.
I will say this. So put it in a way and then move on. Forest bought, what is it, 3 or 4 goalkeepers?
Yeah.
Since the summer?
Yeah, Matt Turner, for example. He's getting ahead of Matt Turner.
he is better than all four.
Yeah.
He starts for
You're talking
Forest,
about a bottom
but
three team, though, aren't you? You're talking
no, I'm talking about
worst,
bottom
worst
six.
Premier League teams, the
He's
worst
better
who
than
probably
Pickford.
should go down. He's a championship goalkeeper.
Come on, George.
He is. He's a championship.
No, stop winding me up. Anyway, we'll move on.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to get angry today.
You give him a full season, he's better than Pickford.
Oh, I'm happy to agree, Fergal. I'm happy to agree.
And we'll potentially see who's the better goalkeeper if Kelleher does get a team in the summer.
Yeah, I'm happy to see.
He could potentially be the starting goalkeeper for Ireland going into Ireland versus England. So we could see Kelleher and Pickford up against each other.
The acid test.
Aren't we going to see Pickford against Kelleher this season? Because they play in March, don't they? Alisson's injured.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see it. Okay. Can we talk about... You said something about the manager at the start. Now we're going to get into it.
Yeah.
Extra time management. He admitted that you're playing for penalties. Why?
The way he said it, I saw the quote, I can't remember it verbatim, but he essentially sort of said, we had a discussion as if it was like a team
huddle.
The team as a whole had a huddle and decided, we think penalty is good for us. Which I can get the thinking behind. Perhaps the team were short of energy and they thought we need to hold on. And although you've got a lot of young players on, one of the upsides of that is they could run all day. They're in a cup final. You know, they're living their dream. I'm sure they could have ran for Liverpool. So like that boost of energy, I think, I don't know if that was a deciding factor. That would be the only thing I could say in favor of that attitude, that maybe the players just felt that way. I disagree. It was the one disappointing bit where like we'd got at Liverpool, got them on the counter attack a good few times, didn't take our chances, and then you've got a team of youngsters who, like, from the academy, and Liverpool academy players always seem to have like that cockiness that they'll like Curtis Jones, for example, whenever he got his first appearance, he had no fear at all, and then he get a great goal on his debut and all that sort of thing. So you can really see, you have to respect them coming onto the pitch. You can't let them have too much time on the ball, which they actually ended up doing because they dropped off. And I thought we should have taken the game to them and, you know, put 100%. These young lads under pressure. Do they actually have it to step up on a final and perform and not give a sloppy pass away? And instead we done the opposite. And when the momentum was still kind of with us, it seemed really strange. To do it, and also from a manager's perspective, I wouldn't be asking our group of players what we should be doing in the final. For the fact is, they haven't been there before. You know, it's not Zidane talking to Real Madrid with Modric and Casemiro and Courtois and Benzema and going, boys, I'm going to involve you here because you've all been here before. What should we be doing? You know, I trust you guys. As we've just listed off, they are not the players that are up to that standard. They are really young players that this is their first League Cup final, a lot of them. So to go, this is what
Enzo Fernandez, World Cup winning midfielder, Sterling, World Cup, Champions League winning winger.
Yeah. He wouldn't have been on the pitch though at that time. I think it would have been Mudryk. So this is what I'm reading into that quote. In fairness, I don't know for a fact if he did consult the team, but that's what it seemed to suggest from the quote.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just, it was a poor decision for me. Now, if we had got the penalties, I would have backed us to do it, because on the flip side, we have there's really young academy players for Liverpool, the pressure of taking a penalty, and then we have Petrovic in nets, and I backed them. Although a lot of our good penalty takers, I think, would have been off the pitch by that stage.
Let me, in the spirit of discussing the extra time and how it unfolded, let me just name drop a few of the academy players. One of the stats I liked the most from the game. Last time Everton won a trophy, Neil Dance was a 13-year-old school kid. This isn't Neil Dance. This is his son, Jaden, at 18 years old. And the tweet has Jaden Dance holding the Carabao Cup trophy. Really enjoyed that. But yeah, for Jaden Dance to play 35 minutes of professional football and actually contribute to both games. And
was it him that had the header that Petrovic
the header that Petrovic saved? I think it was coming off the crossbar, but it's a really good effort. Jaden Dance actually had like a growth spurt and a subsequent disease as he was growing up, and had to like retrain his kind of athleticism and build his lower body.
Same happened with McTominay, I think.
Yeah. So yeah, he's to come on in those circumstances and performances as he has. James McConnell as well, Bobby Clark, and of course starting the game, Connor Bradley, the Northern Irishman.
One that got away. Yeah. I say the one. There's loads that got away.
There's tons that got away. I suppose. Yeah, it's just a really good future. I think Jurgen Klopp said a few things from the game that are very notable, but one of them that kind of stood out to me and is shown how true it is that he said, "I wouldn't have left if I knew the future. If I didn't know that the future of the team was in good hands." And I think the work that the Liverpool Academy have done over the past, let's say, 5 years, I think there was a lot of questions about the academy setup at Liverpool and the amount of players that we actually bring up, because there was Trent and there was really nothing else at the time. But there is tons of talent coming through here, and I think we all saw that they will be capable of starting for a really top level midfield for a long time. And from a very early age in their career,
and it's another point in the sort of $1 billion bottle job point that from a Chelsea's perspective, we have the exact same opportunity and just as good academy. Some would debate better academy, and we've wasted our money on buying second choice players that are there to fill a hole, as we've talked before, like the Zappacosta's, the Danny Drinkwaters, instead of bringing through players and giving them an opportunity. And then in this scenario, we've bought players from afar. Like Disasi is one. Did we really need to buy Disasi? Probably not. I do think Trevor Chalobah will be playing up to a similar level. Is Disasi a good player? Yeah, but could we have saved the money? And we could have done with saving the money in hindsight now.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a lot of other positions, like the left back position, for example. Matsson's starting the Champions League game for Dortmund, and we've got Cucurella, 60 million. There's a Chelsea account that was boasting that we're getting, was it the 35 million for Lewis Hall, and then if we sell Maatson another 30 million. And someone rightfully pointed out, well, that just about covers the Cucurella deal. That's great. So
awful.
You know, in comparison, we could be doing the exact same thing and could be just as proud. And then if you go back, someone also posted the photo of the Champions, when we won the Champions League, the photo of the Cobham players. Most of them are gone. I think Reece James might be the only one, and most of them are doing better or doing okay. Mount's probably one of the ones that are a wee bit disappointing, but we could have done with them today, on Sunday.
Well, Trady Yoni, one of the academy players that didn't come off the bench, he's in line to make his debut against Southampton because we have that many injuries. 13 now with Torrendo out with a knock, and of course, the horrendous challenge from Moises Caicedo stretching off Gravenberch. Just to end the discussion about this game, I have just a very quick sentiment about refereeing in its current state in England right now. And it ties to the MLS, because the Major League Soccer season has started, and there's a collective bargaining agreement dispute between the referees, the Professional Referees Organization, which is kind of the PGMOL of the US, I guess, and the league itself. So there was a lockout, which means current MLS referees aren't refereeing, and the season has started with replacement referees. So those are referees that go referees like second tier, third tier youth league games, and are now refereeing games that are involving the Philadelphia Union and Lionel Messi and all of that jazz. So that's like bringing Vanarama and EFL referees and putting them in the Premier League. MLS replacement referees, having watched a few games from the opening week, are better than the English referees. Just take my word for it. And go do with it what you want. Watch MLS, see it for yourself. I don't know. Anyhow, we have ran long, but I think... Go on.
Hang on, I thought we were going to go into a bit more about the referee on in the game. The one point I'd like to say in sort of favour of Liverpool is I thought the goal that was ruled out, the first Van Dijk goal, I thought it was really, really harsh.
Thank you.
I think it kind of does make sense, and if they really had to pick holes in that goal to come to that conclusion.
It was like an effort to disallow it. Like it was.
But it was. I thought that it was very hypothetical that Colwell may have got to that ahead of Van Dijk, and James Alcott made a good point that if you'd swapped Colwell and Chilwell, if it was Chilwell that was blocked or a smaller player, are you looking at that going, he could have stopped that goal. He had an effect. I can't think of too many goals that have been ruled out for a similar blocking of a. It's usually the player that was directly marking the actual player. I thought this was very hypothetical. Chelsea were really, really lucky.
I agree.
And also on the Caicedo one, I thought it was really clumsy, but I didn't think it was awful.
No, it's not a red card.
I thought it was a nasty tackle that's sore. He's unlucky to get the injury he did. But I think that's like retrospectively given a card once you see how bad the injury is.
I could write a book about why this is a red card as factual information, but I'm not gonna get into it. I'm amazed. Anyway,
let's just stand on his foot.
Yeah, he slipped. He's tried on his foot. It's a yellow card though. I don't know how he didn't get booked.
Yeah,
it wasn't called a foul. The problem is that Chris. Was it Chris Kavanagh?
Yeah.
It's definitely
Chris Kavanagh.
Yellow card.
He thought he got the ball. That's what's amazing about this.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Newly bald Chris Kavanagh as well. It must just be a thing that you have to become bald, or it might be. In fairness, it might be the stress of the job that's doing it.
Yeah.
Poor Chris Kavanagh. Anyway, okay, good. It's I didn't want to end it on that, but I think it reached a.
Well, do you want to end it on what were you happy with Liverpool? Like, is there any really standout players just to give it or anything to say about how good Klopp is?
Well, I already mentioned the academy thing and the academy products that have made their appearance. I also think this is a good way to end it. No manager in the world is winning that game apart from Jurgen Klopp, because I think he's the best manager in the entire world.
I regret giving you this opportunity, but anyway.
But I just think you give any other manager the kind of squad situation that we have in the time that we had in the game, not many win it. Not many bring out the performances from those players that they had as Jurgen Klopp did,
motivation way.
in my opinion. Okay. In sort of a motivation way, yeah. I think these players that played to their absolute maximum technical ability and physical capability. And not many people will, motivate their players in that way. You're giggling away, George. What's that about?
I just think the starting lineup for Liverpool is so strong.
I'm just saying. No, I'm talking about the academy players that came on. Well, I'm not talking about the starting lineup.
But that's like Klopp should have won it within 45 minutes in theory. So no, I'm not giving you that much credit.
We won it in normal time, and the referee disallowed it. Thank you. Can we laugh to end the podcast on about Man United losing to Fulham?
Yeah. That's very funny.
2-1. It's very funny. They are crap.
It's funny as well, the tragedy of sort of Harry Maguire, that he has the moment of the last minute equalizer, and then he's and then he's the guy that not necessarily his fault, but Tramador dance passes him, and then and then gets the assist for the goal, and Harry Maguire's moment is just all forgotten about.
So good. The Alex Iwobi, his goal, it hit he drives it like bottom corner. It hits the camera, and then the camera kind of pans up on the ball as it touches the roof of the net. It's a really beautiful shot.
Lovely.
Yeah. There's a cinematic effect to it all that with both goals that I really loved, that added to the comedy. Andre and Anna for both goals as well, just standing there, just further adds to the immense comedy. Anthony coming on his birthday in the 98th minute, for really no reason. It's all really funny. It's all really, really funny. And now they find themselves somehow in sixth. The goal difference of 0 on 44 points. And with a game more than Tottenham, who are above them by 3 points. So I think the top 5 is now pretty much sealed. Short King of the Week. I had a look actually at all the Liverpool youngsters. Everyone is 5'10". It's so frustrating.
Oh, that's right in the edge.
Yeah.
I know. Don't you just hate growth spurts?
Yes. Yeah. Well, if only Neil Dance, stayed at normal height.
Yeah. Exactly.
Or Neil Dance, Jaden Dance, of course.
Douglas Luiz, 2 goals.
Yeah.
Is he 5'9"? He seems taller than 5'9".
He's 175 centimeters according to my app, which is 2 inches taller than me, so about 5.
Yeah, I think 175 qualifies. Just about.
Yeah, okay, we'll give him.
All right, well, just because we struggled this week, I think we'll give it to David Luiz. Okay.
We'll claim Douglas Luiz as the short king.
We'll claim him.
And congratulations.
Congratulations. A certain Catherine will be happy with that.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Congrats, Douglas Luiz. Congrats to Liverpool and to the kids. The Liverpool kids. And commiserations to the Bottlejobs. Have a good rest of your week.